I always wanted to get into music. I think that was my calling. I never got the opportunity to until I started the wedding film. In weddings, when I came to it, I didn't want to make slideshows. I didn't want to use Coldplay and Arijit Singh. Deep Veer had Ekonkar in their film, and I was heavily inspired by that wedding.
Hi everyone, welcome back to First Look. I'm Pratiksha and today we're back at the Wedding Filmer studio to speak to the man who has revolutionized how weddings are shot in India. Hi Vishal.
Hello, good to be back again.
The last time we spoke, we had just released Sita Kalyanam for PV Sindhu and Datta's wedding. And I believe that has received amazing response, right?
We've released the teaser right now.
Yeah.
Now the song is yet to come out.
But that has received amazing response as well.
It has.
So over the years, you've built like a unique musical identity. Talk to us about how you began incorporating original music into your work.
I think I come from the school of Bollywood, and when I was working with Farah Khan, she'd go for these music sittings with Anu Malik and take me along with her, and I'd see how they create original compositions. And a song like Main Hu Na, for example, where you have the title of the song, of the film, in the song, it's difficult to crack. Or a song like Kabira, where we're working at Pritam, and it's difficult to crack because the song is not about the bride and groom. It's a wedding song, but it's not about the bride and groom, it's about this boy who's finding himself. I think that's where the excitement comes in when you make songs. In weddings, when I came to it, I didn't want to make slideshows. I didn't want to use Coldplay and, Arijit Singh. They already exist. It's not very exciting. It's not different from a slideshow of photos against a song. I wanted to create something original and I wanted to create art. Music is in my blood. The first time I created a song was because it didn't exist. A Mami was singing a song called Din Shagnada at the wedding. But her sur wasn't perfect, she wasn't a trained singer, but the notes were beautiful, the moment was beautiful, the melody was haunting. So I came back and I asked a friend of mine, Amar Khanda, and he got a friend of his, Roona Rizvi, to sing it. She sang Bollywood songs for Rahman before, and she very graciously sang Din Shagnada. Amar graciously composed it for me. That's how we made our first song. It stems from an idea, from an original thought, and I wanted to make it contemporary, so I gave him the pace and I gave him the notes and the scale we wanted it in, and he did it very beautifully for me. So that's how it was born, and Din Shagnada became a hit. You've obviously heard it a million times. A million people have recreated it after that. It's become, Anushka used it in her movie, and it's just become, I think Jasleen had resung it again, and a lot of people have used it now. I even heard a male version of it. So it suddenly created, I think by doing this, what we did was create a whole industry of wedding music alone. So a lot of music artists who are not getting work, a lot of singers who are not getting work, started creating music specific for weddings, and now it's opened up a whole new chapter again.
Yeah, so. And your songs are now turning into the wedding song for all the films, right?
Inshallah.
So your films also unfold like a romantic movie, right? But yet they remain deeply personal to the couple that you're shooting for. How do you balance this grand film-like experience using the music that you create?
So I keep it real. I always keep my ears open at a wedding. So what do the bride and groom listen to when they're getting ready? What played at the barat? What did the groom dance to? What was their first dance song? What speaks to them? What bridal song did she enter on? But listening to all of this, you kind of get a sense of the soundscape of the film that they're going to have. And that's how you design the music around it. I don't just create music for the fun of it.
Right.
We create music always with a purpose in mind. And that purpose comes from realness at a wedding. And what actually played. What languages do they speak? And where did the wedding take place? Was it in Europe somewhere? Was it in Dubai? Was it in Rajasthan? Was it at home in Bombay?
When it comes to picking the music for the couple, is it usually based on the love story, or like you said, you listen to what is happening at the wedding and pick from there?
I have made songs, for example, there was a bride and groom who met in school and they fell in love, and then they grew up together, and then they parted ways. They dated other people and then realized, no, this is not what they want. They couldn't live without each other, and 15 years later met again, got back together and fell in love, and it was even stronger and even better, and then they got married. Now a song like that spans decades in time. So you talk about, your lyrics will imbibe that. There's a song called Ye Aashiki We Met, which talks about puppy love being reinvented, and
the entire journey of the couple.
Kal bhi aashiki thi aur aaj bhi aashiki hai. Anushka Sharma's song was Peer Tu. But that's because of the Sufiness that was around in that space. Deep Veer had Ekonkar in their film, and I was heavily inspired by that wedding because Harshdeep Kaur sang it live over there. So there are no rules to making music, but the idea is to make it layered and beautiful enough for me to mix and make the track I need to make to tell that story come true. So for example, in that Ek Omkar song, there's also another swaram in the beginning of it, which is Konkan, which is Deepika's representation for her culture. So that you can only do if you recreate it. You won't be able to find a song
that
like
already exists.
That already exists. So songs should have purpose, in my opinion.
And it covers the entire story and how the vibe was at the wedding and all of that, right?
Exactly.
So music has the power to trigger nostalgia, right? So when you create music, how do you ensure that your songs remain timeless?
I think every memory needs a melody. Hence the nostalgia. When you create music again with purpose. There's a reason behind it. And it's also layered very beautifully. So timeless music, it's always based on lyrics also. You don't want to keep like main mila, tu mili, I love you, you love me.
Yeah.
I think it goes a little deeper than that, which comes from the story you're trying to tell. Recently I did a gay wedding in Mexico, and we just created our first gay love song. But it's timeless. It truly is. It talks about finding love in chaos, and the lyrics are about chaos and romance and love and need and want, and the trials and tribulations somebody has when they're trying to come out and trying to find their identity and trying to find out who they are and what they love and why they love what they love. And that's a hard one. And how do you translate that into music? That time will tell. But I'm hoping the world accepts it and understands, and it helps people understand why people fall in love when they listen to it.
I'm sure it'll resonate with a lot of couples. Many couples have a deep connection to, a Bollywood song or a folk wedding song. How do you reinvent these songs to fit your style of filmmaking?
I'll answer this with the best example I can give you, which is the most popular one I have, Ranja. So there's a deep connection that the actor and the actress and the bride and groom had for that song. It incidentally is also a song that they sang and they performed to in their movie. In the movie, the groom dies, so the song was sad, but it's a beautiful, haunting melody, and she wanted to use that melody and that song in her wedding. But the lyrics don't match, and if the lyrics don't match, then it doesn't fit, right? So we changed the lyrics to make it work. So I try and avoid doing covers when I can, because I don't make the song, and if the song exists, why make it again? We'd only do that if something like this, with each film and each couple, there are no rules now to making films. So with each couple, you find new challenges and you find new requirements and new understandings of how they see music. And there's no right or wrong in creativity and music. Everybody has a right to feel what they feel. So my job is to try and marry what they feel to what I think is good, creative, beautiful romance that could work in a wedding film.
So what do you find more difficult? Is it more difficult to work on a song that already exists, or to come up with, an original song that encapsulates the love story of the couple?
Challenges lie in both. Right now, when we work on an original song, if it's in a culture I've never explored, like when I started doing Rajasthani folk, before I started the wedding film, I never listened to music like that. I never understood it. I didn't get into the notes and the rags of it. It's only now that I start listening to music like that more often. I visit these weddings and I listen to these performances that they play, and I talk to the musicians after. And then you get a sense of why and how it's composed the way it is. There are stories behind these. When you sing Kesariya Balam, it's become really popular now. Anybody getting married in Rajasthan have heard it. But there's a deep story behind it, which makes it then worth recreating if you have to. Ranja is a good example, where in the film it's a sad story, and in the wedding that sad story is continued. It's almost like a sequel, and now they met and they lived happily ever after.
From real to real. Right?
From real to real.
So would you say working on this music, has broadened your horizons in terms of what you listen to? Surely,
it definitely has. I always wanted to get into music. I think that was my calling. I never got the opportunity to until I started the wedding film. In advertising, you can do music, but it's only like 1 minute jingles, 30-second jingles, which is not. It's beautiful and it's fun to create. It taught me a lot. It taught me about the brevity of expression and how to say something in a very short span of time. But here I'm making a film, and there are no rules. I can make it for as long as I want, and I can layer it as much as I want. So there's lots I have learned, and I've grown tremendously musically. I think our music has changed over time. It has become a little more mature, a little more understanding, and a little more Indian. I've now gotten into Indian classical
Yeah.
music and
Has-
folk music in a much bigger way than I ever had. Earlier, I think my music was a little more contemporary.
Has that been a conscious choice, or has it been something that has evolved over time?
I think it evolved from me doing a lot of Western weddings and NRI-based weddings first, because they were the ones who understood what I was doing. India caught on a little later. It's only when I started doing Indian weddings and I started doing weddings from people from smaller towns, and then I realized that, oh, I have to understand Indian music a little more and a little deeper. When I started interviewing more conservative families or more traditional families, and I started talking to fathers and mothers who had brought up their children differently from how children in the West were brought up, I started understanding the meanings and the deeper underlying connections that these families had, and I incorporated that into the music that I'm doing now. Every day is a learning curve.
If you had to pick one of your own compositions to define love, what would you pick?
Hi. There's a song we're releasing now called Vekhya, which is finding yourself in someone's eyes and understanding how much joy someone can bring you. And we forget sometimes, you know, when you have heartbreak, or you know, or every day you're working and you're living your life, and you forget how much joy love itself can give you.
Yeah.
I think Vekhya reminds me, every time I hear it I smile, because it reminds me and it pulls at my heartstrings, makes me feel a little emotional. I love that song.
So it resonates with you personally.
It does, and it's Punjabi, it's happy, it's sad, it's beautiful, it's romantic, it's slow, then it picks up, and it's got a pace like life.
You're going to be releasing a few more songs in the next couple of weeks, right? So, and you mentioned that Vekhya is the one that resonates with you personally. Is there any other song that you're excited about?
Oh, plenty. We're releasing all our music. So there's a library of over 60 songs that I've made over the
Oh, wow.
span of 15 years. More so in the last 5, I've made a whole bunch. There's a song, Sita Kalyanam, obviously I'm really excited about, because I feel like it encapsulates weddings really beautifully and very spiritually. There's a song, Vekhya, I told you about,
Yeah.
which is for me one of my all-time favorite love songs. There's quite a few, there's quite a lot of music. There's a song called Meher Teri, which we recorded, which became very popular, and it's one of the oldest ones I have, but it's layered very beautifully and goes through the pace of life and weddings with the kind of energy that you don't have in music at weddings. So we've kind of created that, and that's coming out soon. So I'm quite excited about all the music we're releasing.
So are we. We are
For
excited
Valentine's
about-
Day, there's a song called Tu Mila we're releasing, which is one of my favorite wedding songs. It's a love song from a bride to a groom, describing how happy she is that she is getting married to him, and she chose him and she found him.
That is beautiful. And we're excited about all the songs that are coming out.
Yay.
Now, last question. If there was one song that you had to pick for as the soundtrack of your life, which one would it be?
There's a song called Meri Yaadein that we made, which is, it's a song about new beginnings, but it keeps in mind the past. I live by this one line that goes, to get to know someone, you need to know their memories. And
That is beautiful.
in order to have a great future, you need to remember your past, because if you forget your past and the mistakes you made back then, you are bound to repeat them again in the future.
Right.
So this song, Meri Yaadein, talks about that. It talks about how everybody wants an easy love story, but that's not how it is. Some love stories are difficult, but that doesn't mean that they're not beautiful. They're even more beautiful, especially when you get to know them.
Right.
So it's मुझे जानना हो तो पहचान लो मेरी यादें.
Oh wow.
To get to know me, you have
You
to
need
know
to
my
know my
memories.
memories. That is very deep and also stands true.
Stands true.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for taking out time and letting us pick your brain on how the music works at the wedding filmer.
Thank you, First Look, for these conversations, and I look forward to having all my music feature on your platform.